Good afternoon and welcome to Today on Bay TV. We are live in Swansea on Tuesday the 16th of May 2017. I'm Henry Dobby Cook, this is Liz Cairns. Today with us on the show we have Lesley Prosser, the Lib Dem candidate for Carmarthen East and Dunevor, and Robert Llewellyn-Jones is also with us.
Before we have a look at what happened on this day, let's have some music from Eleri Angharad.
Go to waste. Lose your faith and count along to better days when you had it all before we fall. Before we fall. Before we fall. Before. Thank you.
What a great way to start the show. We're going to be hearing more from Eleri later.
Shall we have a little look at what happened on this day?
Yeah, let's have a look. Obviously, like I said before, Robert Llewellyn-Jones is with us, and so is Sorry, I forgot your name.
Lesley Prosser.
Lesley Prosser, thank you very much. We're going to start... Don't laugh at me, Robert.
Keep taking the tablets, my boy.
I'm under a lot of stress at work.
Keep taking the tablets.
We're going to start in 2001, where the Labour Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott punched a man who threw an egg at him during a visit to Rhyl in North Wales. Should we remind ourselves of this event?
It was a very good punch, actually.
Let's have a little look at the clip.
That was 16 years ago.
I know, it's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Robert,
so
thoughts?
Well, I don't think it won him any votes, but it was a good reaction, I thought.
There's a lot to say. He gained popularity after doing this.
I remember that. I was surprised how long ago it was, but I do remember, and I think I was quite sympathetic because it all happened so suddenly, and you have an automatic fight or flight response, you know, and he just reacted, and I'm sure he would have thought better of it afterwards. But I can understand why his popularity might have gone up.
Absolutely.
Human. Human. You know,
That's
not
the
a
one.
professional politician,
No.
human.
Yeah.
Won a
not a
lot of
robot.
admiration in the rugby community because that's the kind of punch that comes through from the second row and into the opposition's face. So very good.
Well, what came of it, obviously, Craig Evans, aged 29, who threw the egg, he was arrested.
Good.
What would happen if this happened today, Robert? If our Deputy Prime Minister punched someone today?
Well, I don't think security being what it is today, that it possibly would be a rare occurrence. If it happened, if that had happened in America, they'd have shot him. So it would have been that would have been the end of the issue, the end of the matter. So fortunately, it doesn't end like that.
No.
But do you remember the incident where ink was thrown over Ted Heath when he signed the European, signed us up to the European Union? That happened somewhere, either Paris or Brussels, I can't remember. And some eggs have been thrown on numerous occasions. It's a puerile sort of protest, isn't it?
Moving on, we're going to go to 2013 now. Following earlier government plans to raise the state pension age, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, created a think tank that found that retirement resulted in a drastic decline in health in the medium and long term, but a huge amount of people who were already in retirement disagreed. Let's discuss this. I think it's a very interesting topic.
We're looking at each other. What do we think?
Well, you're going to be you're taking up politics as the antidote.
I've come out of retirement, yes.
As the antidote to retirement, yes.
You know, from my constituency's point of view, it depends on what economic group you're in. You know, because if you've got a decent pension, you're probably quite well. You've had the wherewithal to take care of yourself. You can probably drive. You're going to enjoy yourself probably. But if you're not in that category, you know, if you can't drive, mobility problems, all sorts of health problems, not a lot of money, then yes, certainly I would agree with that. So it just depends on, I think, on your socio-economic group.
I think also, like you said, with the working, I think some people rely on that as an actual social interaction. And I think sometimes when people are withdrawn from that job or whatever that they're doing, they lose that. And I think that's sometimes what deters their mental health as well.
True. You have to prepare, I suppose, don't you?
Yeah.
You can't just do it, work until Friday and then, oh, I'm retired on Monday.
Yeah.
There has to be preparation. Yes.
Very interesting. Moving on, 1983, London police begin wheel clamping illegally parked cars for the first time. Have you ever been clamped, Robert?
No.
No?
I probably will be now, Henry.
No.
I've said that to you. Yes, I probably will be.
Was this, I mean, this was quite a shock move for the London police, suddenly, you know, acquiring people's cars and you could see it, but you weren't allowed to move it. I think, you know, I think people still get very annoyed today, don't they, when cars are clamped? Have you been clamped, Liz?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
But it became a racket, didn't it?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and people, well, you know, like everything else, you know, you have a semi-criminal, quasi-criminal element that enter into you know operations and
Private companies getting
Yes,
involved. And I think it's
exactly.
considered, I think, very unfair. But you say that's the general feeling. It's not liked, it's a disliked thing.
Yeah.
Thank you both. After the break, we're going to be looking at today's papers, and both Lesley and Robert are going to be staying with us.
See you then.
Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Henry W. Cook. This is Liz Cairns. Lesley Prosser, the Lib Dem candidate for Carmarthen East and Dunevor, is with us, and so is Robert Llewellyn-Jones.
Well, should we have a look at the papers?
Let's do it. I think we're going to start with something outside of the papers, aren't we?
Yeah, yes.
So tell us a little bit about it before we see the video.
Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn. Theresa May held a Facebook live.
Yeah, Q&A.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, out of the blue, the presenter said we have another question, which obviously she was expecting, but not expecting this one. It was Jeremy Corbyn. He had put in a message.
Should we have a little look at the
Shall
clip?
we?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Now, perhaps surprisingly, I've got a question in from Jeremy Corbyn of Islington. He says, hello, Theresa May. As Prime Minister, you've served your elite friends by giving them tax cuts when wages have stagnated. House building is at its lowest since the 1920s. There are 20,000 fewer police on our streets since 2010, and the NHS is in crisis. Do you not think the British people deserve to see he and you debate live and on television?
I don't think people get much out of seeing politicians sort of having a go at each other.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Did she
Robert?
answer the question, though?
So do you get the grasp of what's happening here?
In what respect?
It's a first in general elections. This wasn't on television. It was only for a Facebook Live. ITV did a live stream.
I see Robert Peston was the...
Yeah, Robert Peston
was asking the question,
if you will.
Yes.
And people were sending live questions via Facebook to Theresa May, our Prime Minister, queries that they wanted.
And asked the question.
Yes.
Well, it's a novel idea, isn't it? I mean, the poor Labour Party are relying on novelty, because they can't rely on anything else, I don't think. And if that wins them a few votes, well, good luck to them.
Yeah, I think that the Conservative Party are using social media in a huge way, aren't they? They're putting masses of so much money into the general election through social media. So I think that Jeremy Corbyn is quite entitled to make Theresa May feel uncomfortable on social media.
And let's talk about the subject they're talking about. Obviously, Jeremy Corbyn wants a TV debate. Yeah. Theresa May is not for one. Do you think we deserve a live TV debate between the leaders?
I think we expect one, actually, although that hasn't been our tradition. We've watched them avidly in the US, and it's become part now of our new tradition as well. And I don't think she puts herself in a very good light by saying she won't do it. It looks like fear. It may not be, but that's what it appears.
Would your leader be there, though? It wouldn't be. Would your leader be included in this debate?
Of course he would.
Would he?
Yes, he would.
Right. There we are.
As one of the main political parties, of course he would. And he'd be very proud to represent our views.
Because we tend to think of it as, if we adopt the American model, as between two people, don't we?
Absolutely, but that does not seem to be how it's developed in this country. And I think that's good. You know, I remember the one in 2015, and it was good to see all the leaders together, and some of them shone, some of them didn't shine.
And if we look at France, Robert, obviously the two parties that led France for the last couple of decades weren't in the final horse race, were they? No.
And as somebody said, now they've got a president with an Oedipus complex. Well, I'm not going to comment on that, but I'm sure that what happens in France, I wouldn't like to say we replicate here. I'm not an advocate of French politics in that respect, that we wish to emulate them. But there we are. If it's election by television, would you say?
I think the media have become far more mainstream now in all our politics, and yes, yeah, but that's fine. It's fine.
So, Robert, are you not for a live TV debate? Do you not think we need one in this country?
Well, this election is being rammed down our throats incessantly, isn't it? Day after day. I'm ambivalent about it. I probably wouldn't watch it if it was on, but I'm quite prepared to concede that there would be others that would, like yourself, who would welcome it. So,
I mean, I guess it'd be a great way to kind of gauge character and, you know, really hear what your leader of the party you possibly have voted for thinks.
Do you really need a television debate, Henry, to gauge character?
Well, I think in the era of fake news and buses with slogans on the side, and if we look what happened with Brexit, where there were so many what seem now to be lies, I think you can maybe tell a lot from a person from seeing them in a real live situation.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think you can tell how they deal with other people,
Yes.
how they deal with conflict, how they keep their cool, how they keep thinking. And I think if we are going to have a leader who is dealing with very complex future negotiations, people skills are so important. You know, we're not going to be dealing with countries, we're going to be dealing with people. So I think that does tell us something important.
And it's only pre-planned to a certain extent, can't
Exactly,
you?
exactly.
So putting somebody on the spot, like you said, they need to be passionate about what they want to do with regards to their constituency and what they want to do then for all of us as people. And I think putting somebody on the spot is the best way.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Any final thoughts, Robert?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I remember the night that Kennedy and Nixon debated, and of course, Nixon came over so badly that time, you know, whereas Kennedy looked every inch the president in waiting. And of course, it proved right in the end, didn't it? That Nixon was exactly what he appeared to be.
Shifty,
a shifty, devious, lying president.
Interesting. It's something we're going to talk more about, and I guess it's going to be more and more exposure with the run-up to the general election. Should we move on?
It's not going to get less, Henry.
No. Well.
In the Sun and with many of the papers, they've obviously stated the death of Ian Brady, who was 79. We all know him as the Moors murderer. He died of cancer. One of the main things that's touched everybody is the fact that the whereabouts of Keith Bennett, his last
Victim,
thank you very much, is still unknown. And even down to the very end, when the police tried getting him to state where he was, he still wouldn't. And I think that's died along with him now. And that's going to be extremely sad. And I know one of the brothers of Ian Brady's victim, which was John Kilbride, he has stated that he's ruined our lives all these years and he'll still ruin it even though he's gone. I feel numb. It's not an end for any of the victims or their families. So
yeah, I think the great irony here is, of course, that Brady and Myra Hindley were found guilty of murder just after the death penalty was abolished. I think it perhaps a 12-month later.
Do you know? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. Because you know, I was one of the millions who lived through those days and saw the. And this morning it said on the news that he had been kept alive during a period of illness with palliative care, and the fact that he had been kept alive and imprisoned and probably treated humanely for the years that he was there just shows what a humane country we are, doesn't it?
Definitely.
You know, perhaps it's not an argument you'd want to encourage or foster, but the fact that somebody somewhere was caring for him when perhaps less of people, perhaps like myself, would have said, well, let's switch off the machine.
Well, he'd actually requested to die years prior to even having the cancer.
Yes.
And even went through hunger strikes and that, didn't he?
But he endured, and he endured because people took that trouble to, and I think it's a reflection on the
on our values and that
humanity
yes, we can be proud of that.
Yes.
I think. Yes. I know that there's a theory, isn't there, that he was manipulative to the end, and that's why he wouldn't say where this young boy was buried. Yes, so.
It's awfully sad.
It is awfully sad.
Yeah. And the horror, Henry, of what they did and how they did it has never diminished over the years.
No.
You know, that when Myra Hindley was said to be applying for release, the public outcry was enormous. You know, and it's still in the public consciousness what happened that time in Saddleworth Moor. Terrible.
Very sad. In the final seconds, Liz, do you want to quickly talk about Stormzy? We've only got 20 seconds.
Yeah, grime artist, she donated 9,000 to students' Harvard's crowdfunding campaign. She was trying to raise the 12,000, and in 4 weeks he managed to reach her funding for her.
Well done, Stormzy.
Well done.
Robert and Lesley are both staying with us. See you in a minute. Welcome back to Today on BayTV. I'm Henry Dobby Cook and this is Liz Cairns. We're still with Lesley Prosser, the Lib Dem candidate for Carmarthen East and Duneva, and Robert Llewellyn-Jones is also still with us.
So, Lesley, where should we start?
Wherever you like.
How long have you been within politics?
5 minutes, a bit longer than 5 minutes. No, 18 months ago, I wasn't even a member of a political party. But 2016 was such a shocking year as far as I was concerned. Seemed to be waking up to bad news all the time. And it just put the conviction in me that I needed to stand up and say, look, I don't like what's going on. So I became much more active. And obviously what you want is for other people to say, we don't like what's going on either. So that's what made me become a political activist and eventually stand for Carmarthen East and Duneva.
So I guess maybe one of the things you're referring to here is there's someone in the spotlight, I would say, who's in your constituency that's also standing, Neil Hamilton.
Yes.
Is this part of the problem why, well, maybe the issue why you got into politics?
Well, it's one of them. It was a trigger that morning after the Assembly elections and we'd campaigned for them. And I found out that Neil Hamilton was going to represent me in the Assembly. I was horrified, especially since we lost a really good Lib Dem AM instead, Bill Powell, and it was terrible. And lots of other people from different political parties felt the same way. How on earth did this happen? And it just makes you feel that if he has a voice, my voice has to be louder. Our voices have to be louder. We have to undo things. We have to stop him and his party from doing certain things. That's what I felt at the time.
What is your voice saying right now?
My voice is saying we need to stay in the EU.
Right.
We need to stay in. We need to give people a chance to choose whether they like the final Brexit deal. And at the very least, we need to stay in the single market. I think people in Wales are especially vulnerable. You know, people in Wales don't realise how vulnerable we are as a single part of the UK.
But Lesley,
yes,
my instinct was to leave Europe and all Europe represented. But I live in Port Talbot, and as you know, there's a huge works there with thousands of jobs, which I saw as perhaps being dependent on on membership of the Union. So I voted to stay. But the town voted to leave.
yes, I know.
Now, Wales voted to leave. All the money that's been poured into Wales, in the valleys especially.
I know, Robert.
And yet you say you want to give people a second chance. I don't think it would make any difference whether they had a second chance or not. They voted to leave.
They voted to leave, but they didn't vote how to leave. And as a matter of fact, there were several people who campaigned to leave who said, we will definitely stay in the single market. I'm not going to call that a lie, because not everybody who campaigned to leave said that. But there was certainly, if you heard that, you'd think we're staying in the single market. Now, my constituency voted to remain. So I am representing the majority as was in my constituency. And what I would say is, I think when people voted to leave, it was a protest vote. I think they were protesting against austerity. They were protesting against poor government. And this was their first opportunity to say, we don't like what's happening. Listen to us.
You have
to listen to us.
immigration.
Immigration, yes, I know, has been a big issue for...
Well, I would have thought that was perhaps the most emotive of the reasons why people, Lesley...
Yes, but funnily enough, you know, even people in my constituency might say, if they voted to leave, why are you leaving? Because of immigration. We hardly have any immigration in Carmarthen East and Duneva. It was a very emotional issue, you know. But that wasn't the biggest issue for a lot of people, except in their minds. Now, I think as Lib Dems, people think we would now leave everybody in, you know. We don't. We don't think that. We think that there does need to be some very careful thought about immigration in the future, because undoubtedly people at the bottom of the pay scale. The worst paid people were affected the most. Low-skilled people were affected because that is where the immigrants came in. We need to do something about that. We are not going to bury our heads in the sand, but we want to remain open. I want an open, tolerant, equal society. That's why I'm here. That's why I've come out of retirement and I want to represent my constituency.
Speak about equal society. You also mentioned prior, what we've looked up online, about the education.
Oh, yes.
And the vulnerabilities within the education and trying to equal out those.
Absolutely. I was the advisory teacher for pupils with speech and language difficulties, which meant I was involved in Carmarthenshire with children with dyslexia, with autism, with unknown difficulties. Why have they got a language problem? We don't know, but they do. Sometimes children whose language hadn't developed because they hadn't been given the right opportunities for it to develop. And I was there at a time when there was money, and then the money started to stop. And I saw what a difference the right funding made to what we can do for children, because what we're trying to do is to give them a future, to make them productive, so that they do contribute to the economy. And we did such a lot of good work. Money is now getting tighter, and come leaving the EU, it's going to get even worse. And I worry about these children. I worry about them as adults, you know, that we can't support them in the same way.
Something Robert touched on in the second part is obviously a lot of people would see the general election as a two-horse race. Are the Liberal Democrats still relevant?
Of course we're relevant, because we are the only major political party who's giving people the choice. Stay. You know, if people are really concerned about leaving the EU, we are the only ones. We are an internationalist, pro-EU party. Here we are. You know exactly where we stand. It's quite easy to identify us in this. We're not mixed up in anything. Pro-EU, pro-single market. This is our future we're fighting for.
And do you believe Tim Farron can do it, could be the Prime Minister?
Yes, I do. It's, you know, you look at Theresa May. Has she got the sort of very warm, friendly character that Tony Blair had? Absolutely not. We loved his personality, you know, and we tend to vote people like that. Look at Canada, look at France, you know, these handsome, young, personable men, okay. If we think she can do it, why on earth can't Tim Farron do it? Everybody has their own particular style. He can do it. A man of integrity.
But how many seats have you got at the moment?
9, Robert.
9 in Westminster.
Yes.
Now, to form a government, how many are you going to have to win?
We're going to have to win a lot, and we need to be realistic, but we influence. You influence, and also in a democracy, you represent people. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got PR, so we will not have as many members of Parliament as we will be entitled to after the general election. But there will still be people who need to be represented. And many lies have been told about democracy since Brexit, you know, and this one is not going to pass.
So you really see a surge in your votes then, Lesley? Do you?
I do see a surge.
Yes.
We have yet to see what it is, because the whole Brexit cauldron has just made everything bubble up, and we don't know what's going to happen. I'm mixing my metaphors here. We don't know which way the dice are going to fall, I was going to say. But we don't know. But we are fighting for the best possible result, because we really believe that the EU is the only way forward for us to have a good economy and a future. I haven't got any grandchildren, Robert. I don't know if you do.
I do, yes.
And I want grandchildren one day. And I say to myself, one day, I want to say to my grandchildren, do you know, when all of that happened, I was right at the forefront fighting for your place as a citizen of the EU. I want to say that.
Thank you very much, Lesley. Obviously, we have to reinforce that you're not the only person up for election in your constituency, so if we'll just pop up the election slate for everyone else who you can vote for within Carmarthen, East and Dunevor. And I'd like to thank both Lesley and Robert again for joining us
Always
today.
a pleasure, Henry.
Thank you.
That is lovely.
After the break, Keith Millwood is going to be joining us, and he's got a guest, and we're also going to be hearing more from
Eleri Angharad.
Thank you, Liz. And she's going to be playing the show out.
See you then.
Welcome back to your final part of Today on Bay TV. I think I'm Henry Darby Cook, I know that one. And this is Liz Cairns.
Am I? Keith Millward, who have you got with you today?
Oh, it's Tim Stokes of Trinity St David's University, and you're involved with several community projects. That's right, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, that's right. At the moment, I've just come here from the course I work at Trinity St David's, from Foundation Art and Design. We're busy putting up the student exhibition, so it's been quite a mad rush to get here, get changed, get in, because it's our busiest time of year at the moment with our exhibitions. So I've been working with community-based projects as an artist. It's a project called Musical Roots, which has been run by Swansea City Opera. It's funded by the Heritage Lottery and the Arts Council of Wales. And there's two kind of strands to it, which are all kind of culminating on next Tuesday, the 23rd, at the National Waterfront Museum. So there we're going to have a celebration of diversity of migrant communities. So we've got community groups such as the Chinese Co-op Centre, ladies from there who will be dancing. We've got the African Community Centre. Oh God, memory. We've got who else?
Parkland Schools.
Parkland Schools.
Yes.
So
We've got a clip of them. Should we have a little look at what they do?
Yes.
Here's the clip. Couple of technical difficulties there.
Somebody's just got the flavour. As you can see, the children's busy on the project there. And you're also working with Bishop Gore School, aren't you?
Bishop Gore, Blind and Mice, Kevin Hengoyd. And I think they're all doing, as far as I know, different parts of an opera by Purcell.
Yes, it's Dido and Aeneas, isn't
That's
it?
right, yeah.
So Swansea City Opera, and that's been my link to get to know you then.
Yeah.
But of course you've made me aware of all these other projects that's going on involving so much of the community.
Yeah,
Yes.
they've been fantastic. I think the project is to celebrate their cultural heritage through music, but I think it's expanded into all sorts of things, all the different centres. There's been singing, cooking, dancing, art, and more so than that, I think what's been fantastic about it, the process has been, I think, just the kind of social exchange. People from different parts of the globe, Algeria, where else? Pakistan, Uganda, Cameroon, just bizarre that you wouldn't imagine settling in Swansea.
So at the Waterfront Museum next week, what will the public see?
They will see a fantastic performance by a troupe of Chinese ladies who've been practicing really hard with a tutor from London. They'll experience cooking from different kind of cultures that will all be there to taste. They'll have 4 schools who'll be presenting an opera, some of it to their own kind of interpretation, playing their own orchestra instruments, singing, performing. It's going to be a fantastic day, I think. So it's going to be schools performing an opera, and then all of these different community groups bringing something to the stage, whether it's cooking, dance, singing. A lot of them are collaborating. So we've got a guy from Sudan who's doing spoken word with a Turkish guitar player. It's absolutely fantastic. Just the stuff that's mixed and become part of it, and it's for me, it's been fantastic as a reason to meet these people. I didn't know they were part of Swan. You know, it sounds really ignorant, but I'm sure most people watching will think the same. It's come along because it's a fantastic asset to have these people bring their cultures to Swansea.
Next Tuesday?
It's 1 until 4 at the National Waterfront Museum, and then we've got an arts-style exhibition at Swansea Museum on the 8th of July, I think.
Awesome. Yeah. So how does it directly connect to the foundation course?
It sort of doesn't. The foundation course is just me. That's sort of what I'm passionate about. Anyone who's interested in seeing arts exhibitions, the whole university will be opening their shows on the 20th, so come along from 3 p.m. It's a Saturday. So I work there, so my background is as an artist, so that's how I've been working with the community groups. I've been filming them, and more kind of socially engaging to get them to bond and share and produce something for the exhibition, for the performances, for all sorts of reasons. So I think that, go on.
I know you said one of the operas is more of a hip-hop flavour, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I think it was, what school was it? I think it was Bishop Gore. They brought one of the first scenes whilst practicing with professional opera singers. They interpreted one of the scenes in kind of a hip-hop style Eminem, I guess, rap. Like, so it was a little bit sort of disconcerting for those who know and love opera, but for the rest of us, it was very funny, and I think artistically it was quite brilliant. Creatively it was quite brilliant for them to interpret that way, and they all got really involved in the story that way. I think anyone who comes to see it on Tuesday will be pleasantly surprised on how they've approached it. So. Yeah.
Is this an annual thing, or is this the first of its time?
This is the first one, I think. There's lots of other heritage projects exist, sort of thing, but I think this is the first time it's sort of run in this guise. And it's so the YMCA, the university, and different community groups around the area are all kind of getting involved in it. And it's the first time we've had this kind of massive celebration of such diverse people in Swansea, really. Who are each bringing something special to our culture. And I think that's really worth embracing. I think everyone should come along on Tuesday.
And it's an Arts Council funded project.
Yeah, it's Arts Council and Heritage Lottery funded. Is that right? Yeah. So the Arts Council have supported the schools and the school kids and getting them kind of trained and in kind of the opera. And then the Heritage Lottery has supported the community groups. And they're kind of amazing centres, quite a lot of them, particularly the Unity and Diversity, which is a reformed church in Warnwen. And I think people drop in there for English classes, for a sense of togetherness. They share a lot of laughs, a lot of games. And then we've been meeting them there. Natalie Paisley, Phil Williams, who's Welsh Male Dancer of the Year, I think, has been getting them to kind of these guys who kind of, they don't speak the same language. But they're sharing with each other. They're doing kind of like contact body movements and sort of in kind of that kind of arts performance types, kind of, you know, sort of seated movements, I think Phil's been calling them, and getting them to sort of balance their body weight on each other, so all to kind of encourage them to kind of show us a little bit of their culture, you know, and it has worked. We've seen a lot of traditional Turkish dancing and Ethiopian dancing, which has been bizarre and wonderful.
It's wonderful work that Swansea City Opera do, because only recently Bridget and Brendan have been here talking about Lakme, the opera, which they've toured the whole of the UK. So they put on splendid productions, but bring the best of musicians and opera singers at a reasonable price, you know, and now to see that they're involved with this project, you know, it's a great work being done by Swansea City Opera.
Yeah, they're just amazing to sort of have the time to tour an opera and to kind of facilitate this project.
Just in the final moments, Tim, just when is it again and where is it for everyone?
So Tuesday the 23rd of May, 1 till 4 p.m. in the National Waterfront Museum. And there will be an exhibition that'll be open for 6 to 8 weeks in Swansea Museum. So I imagine if you type in Musical Route Swansea into a search engine, you'll find some data on this.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our guests today and to all our viewers for watching us, especially those who've tuned in for our Talking Pictures afternoon matinee coming up next on Bay.
And today it's the 1942 comedy Unpublished Story, starring Richard Green.
And with that, all I've got to say is take it away, Eleri.
In my mind, and you can't see beyond the skies. I'd like to keep this rhythm, but I've tried. And all I see is you and all the things I cannot do. Whoa, don't take me home. The colors fade to black and blue, and I cannot stay here with you. Oh, don't take me home. I'm looking up, not looking back, and I'm not falling for this trap. Oh, don't take me home. When did we get so naive? You wear my heart upon your sleeve. Oh, don't take me home. I used to know what I could do, but baby, I'm caught up in you. Oh, don't take me home. I've got a picture in my mind, and you can see beyond the skies. I'd like to keep this real. pain, the pavements go, but I can't stay here, just getting older. Don't take me